America really ready for Hollywood to unlock the closet door?
And you know what? They do have homosexuals in the Midwest.
They do!
In the next hour, we'll explore the high price of coming out.
She received threatening phone calls, hate letters, hate packages.
We'll reveal how movies and television are going gay.
The more it works, the more there'll be.
We'll meet some of the stars who don't play it straight.
You're the queer guys.
Yeah.
And they're cool with it now, but in high school, when they came up, they said, you're the queer guy. It was very scary.
We'll explore why the gay guessing game is so popular.
It's not only are you gay or are you straight, and please give me a visual cue to let me know.
And we'll take a look at the current state of gay affairs.
They've become so far.
In some ways, we're sort of shockingly in the same place. Still are very few out gay actors.
Next, on the high price of fame, Out. There was a time in American popular culture when being gay was out.
Straight white guys rule the world.
The hardest group to reach will be the straight male audience, if it's something that is predominantly about, gay characters.
In Hollywood, leading men and women hid their sexuality for good reason.
If you reveal your sexuality, suddenly you'll be thought of as what's perceived as a gay woman, and you'll be cast in gay roles, whatever that is.
The cost of celebrity sometimes means more than just paying dues. In some cases, it means living a lie.
It certainly was the way that homosexuals functioned in Hollywood to a great extent in the 30s, 40s, 50s, what we would call the real fantasy day of Hollywood.
But the climate in the entertainment industry is shifting. Out is suddenly in.
If 1967 was the summer of love, then the summer of 2003 is certainly the summer of gay.
Queer is going mainstream.
You weren't supposed to say that word out loud. That word was a no-no.
It's not an offensive term anymore.
In fact, queer has become downright fashionable.
It's cool to be gay, chic to be gay. It's all about the gays.
Gayness, everything's gay.
Gay men are now helping straight men straighten up.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is a phenomenon.
They are making over and touching and putting together straight people, and the straight people are liking it and saying, I am better now.
Even the media recognizes that there's nothing queer about the buying power of the gay audience.
When you find out here's a group of very underserviced people who happen to be walking around with $450 billion, even if you hate them, don't you want their money?
Although the gay stigma might be easing some, there's still a price to pay for actors who come out.
If everybody knows you as a gay man, for instance, it's almost impossible for you to play a romantic lead in a movie with Julia Roberts.
And old prejudices die hard.
I do need to see movie stars not play ugly or homophobic or hateful roles. In movies, I need to see Arnold Schwarzenegger not beat up a gay stripper in T3 and steal his clothes because that's a good laugh.
On the other hand, a popular sitcom featuring a gay character as the lead has been lauded for representing gay life in a positive light. But some wonder if Will and Grace is the exception or the rule.
NBC has said for the last few years, when you bring them something similar to Will and Grace, we have our gay show. So, we're covered in that area.
The fact that Will Truman on Will and Grace is a nice-looking man, he's affluent, he's got a great job, and he says he wants a partner. The fact that that hasn't been explored is not only disappointing, it's extremely unrealistic.
So what, he never dates, ever?
The question remains, has there really been a shift in Hollywood?
I don't think you're going to see anything on Will and Grace like you're going to see on Queer as Folk. It's probably easier because you don't have to really spend a lot of time doing some of the heavier emotional issues.
Two men showing affection to each other is extremely threatening to straight men. Hopefully, in the near future, that will change. We have a long way to go.
It's funny, people now say, oh, gay people are everywhere on TV now. Well, really? They're everywhere? I still don't see a sitcom that's all about a gay character who's not best friends with a straight character. A gay character is the lead of a medical show or a lawyer show or a cop show. Let's not pretend that gay people are suddenly overrepresented in pop culture. They're not overrepresented. They're represented.
In a moment, we'll examine how queer has gone mainstream.
They're recognizing each of us individually, which is even more of an honor. Yeah. It's great. It's wonderful. It's exciting.
Thanks, Out.
Thanks, Out.
Thanks, guys. Snaps for Out.
And we'll show you the price some stars have paid for coming out.
Total destruction of their careers.
And later, the kind of Sex in the City you haven't seen.
The stereotype would be, oh, let's watch, women having sex with one another. What is that like?
How did these stars go from famous to infamous? You be the witness.
It's not just a Hollywood story, it's a tragedy.
Infamous. All new episodes Sunday, October 12th at 9, only on E! Thursday night on E! Her story will leave you breathless. The true Hollywood story of Jenna Jameson. Woo! Plus,
I will never forget the first time that I met Katie. And of course, I didn't know her, and I thought, well, I'll go over. So I went over and I said, "Excuse me, sir." And I said,
I prefer when we look at ourselves and laugh.
Laughter has always been a part of being gay. If you're a gay person, it's part of what keeps you sane.
But in the early 1980s, there was nothing funny about being gay. America was in the grips of an affliction originally thought to affect only gay men. Back then, AIDS had a different name.
It was called GRIDS, Gay-Related Immune Deficiency Syndrome, GRIDS. It was something to blame the entire gay community on.
Of course, it turned out AIDS wasn't just a gay disease. Straight people started dying too.
Today, the tennis and sports world mourn the death of Arthur Ashe. Yesterday, Arthur died at 3:13 in the New York hospital of pneumonia and AIDS complications.
The crisis was first humanized in 1985. In the TV movie An Early Frost, Aidan Quinn played a gay man diagnosed with HIV.
It was an atmosphere of fear and ignorance and a lot of prejudice. NBC, I think, was really brave in doing it, but they were also really afraid of doing it. They actually had a lot of trouble getting advertisers. I remember that one of the advertisers for Early Frost was the King James Bible.
Nearly a decade later, in 1993, Tom Hanks won an Oscar for his portrayal of a gay man living with AIDS in the film Philadelphia. Around the same time, television producers began to make inroads by including gay characters in ensemble drama shows.
It was really important for me to have an openly gay character on Melrose Place, primarily because I felt the show took place in West Hollywood, and you would have a gay character living in that building, being friends with that group. With Doug Savant's character, there were a lot of battles in terms of could he go on a date, could he kiss?
When I was involved in Melrose Place as an executive, we had a kiss between two male characters. Once the two lips touched, the image had to go black. And then it came back up when they separated. 15, 20 years ago, it was a real taboo.
In the early 1990s, Dan Lippman and Ron Cowan created a series called Sisters. They wanted one of the sisters to be gay.
And the network said, oh, that's a really great idea. If you want to do that, take your show to another network.
So they created a lesbian character played by Nora Dunn to appear in 1 or 2 episodes. But when a journalist called to ask about the character, he got a different story.
But I said, that isn't true. She's a regular. She'll be on most of the season. And I hung up the phone and I said, Ron, I just said that Nora Dunn's going to be on. Anyway, she turned out to be on, a regular.
In the 90s, gay and lesbian characters were regulars in primetime shows, most notably the sitcom Will and Grace.
I think Will and Grace was one of the benchmarks. A pretty safe depiction of that lifestyle, but nonetheless, it was the first one that there was a regular storyline with 2 gay characters who were just unapologetically gay.
In its first 5 seasons, Will and Grace earned more than 40 Emmy nominations and won for Outstanding Comedy Series in 2000. That same year, the premise of a provocative British drama was imported to cable television in America. The series was called Queer as Folk.
My God, have you ever seen anything more beautiful?
Venice, at sunset.
Fine, you go down the Grand Canal, I'll go down on
The show was very much a celebration of gay life. There was a show where the gay character dropped to his knees and said, oh God, stop the pain, why did you make me gay? Well, on this show, they dropped to their knees course, they drop to their knees, but they drop to their knees and they'd look up and they say, "Thank you, God, for making me gay."
In 2001, another cable drama prominently featured gay characters.
The great thing about 6 Feet Under is in a larger ensemble of characters, there happens to be 2 characters in the middle of it who are gay and have a tumultuous up and down kind of roller coaster relationship, which I think is analogous to any kind of straight relationship.
In the summer of 2003, American television audiences embraced a makeover show with an unlikely premise. 5 gay men help a straight man improve his cooking skills, home decor, wardrobe, cultural sophistication, and grooming.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is a phenomenon. They're helping a straight man to better himself. Carson may be a stereotype, according to a lot of people, both gay and straight, but he's not playing a character. He's unapologetically Carson, and I think that's wonderful.
When the Amish started writing letters of support, I was blown away.
It's the first time you've ever seen like 5 openly gay people sort of just being themselves on television. The fact that people are reacting so positively to it, it's amazing. It's really exciting.
It was just like the Gilligan and Skipper and Bert and Ernie, Laverne and Shirley, but not 5 of us.
During August 2003, the series broke records, pulling in 3.3 million viewers, a landmark for the show's network.
The demographics that are responding positively to it, we were certainly unsure that they were, that families with children were going to be watching it and supporting it and very positive about it. It's great. It's wonderful.
Gays have been making straight people look good for years. I'd interview Cher. She was surrounded by gay men that were doing her makeup, doing her hair. She couldn't live without it. The divas always had that.
A different type of gay programming also arrived in the summer of 2003. This time, it was a gay dating show.
Boy Meets Boy is the first gay reality dating show. I've never had the opportunity to go on a group date with 15 people at once. Never had to send people home every day. In the end, I pick a guy and I'm whisked off on a fabulous vacation.
The more it works, the more there'll be, I assume. I mean, isn't that the way Hollywood always is?
Coming up,
they show Dykes on Bikes and Leather Queens.
And later, Queer Fears.
Homophobia doesn't mean hate of homosexuality. It means fear, phobia.
And later, Melissa Etheridge and Gay Family Values.
Any man who was seen with or knew us at all was suspect.
On the next All New.
The popularity of shows like Will and Grace and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is undeniable, and not just among gay audiences or in the big cities.
Acceptance of homosexuality in America has gone steadily up over the last several years.
And you know what? They do have homosexuals in the Midwest.
They do.
I don't live in New York.
Damn it.
You still don't see on network television gay characters sexualized.
No, you just see them as eunuchs or clowns. No. They're there to be laughed at, or they have absolutely no sex life.
Many feel that gay roles play into stereotypes. Apparently, that's not always a bad thing.
So if you see a Will and Grace, and you see Jack doing all these kinds of gay things that really do happen. Oh, it's a stereotype. Yeah, but a stereotype is based on something that is real.
And there's reasons why these stereotypes exist, and it's a matter of getting beneath that.
It's a good thing when any television show portrays gay people in an honest way. And honest doesn't necessarily mean always in a favorable light. They don't have to be saints.
In fact, some television coverage tends to focus on a more flamboyant celebration of gay life.
What the media does, unfortunately, they show Dykes on Bikes and Leather Queens. They don't show the gay scientists who are marching in lab coats and carrying beakers.
Gay pride parades are constantly a subject that keeps people up, gay and straight.
Oh, I just love men in uniform.
Me too. Saying, oh my God, this is what's going to be shown on television. Cher said it's killing you. It's killing your movement. There are people who are gay that want to express themselves that way. They have a right to be who they are.
And those rights are defended by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. GLAAD has always spoken out against negative gay stereotyping.
GLAAD really was born out of protesting Hollywood, making films that capitalized on awful stereotypes about what gays did and who they were.
The organization also honors positive gay representations in the media during its annual GLAAD Awards. Nominations have gone to Hollywood filmmakers for their depictions of homophobia and the challenges faced by the gay community.
If there's more visibility in life, people aren't ignorant anymore. They learn by this visibility.
In recent years, we've seen movies like Boys Don't Cry and the Matthew Shepard story and the Laramie Project.
It really was a horrible moment in American history, and so I hope that more people see it and learn about it and learn from it, you know.
These dealt with hate crimes, and a lot of people didn't realize how horrific it can be to be growing up gay in this country.
So, how's up with your partner?
What do you mean?
This gay thing, you know about that?
The cable police drama The Shield weighed in with a gay-themed plot of its own. The episode depicted an all-too-real gay-bashing scenario.
Hey, Julian, it makes it awfully hard to defend this place to the chief when I see crap like this.
You know what? Julian's a good cop. Most of the time better than the two of you combined.
So it's true then?
Grow up.
I think it's a great storyline. And I also think it's a really true story. And I think there are probably quite a few people who identify with it, see that character, and I think there's a lot of truth in it. The fear of it coming to the office, the ramifications of it being out, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's really well done.
There are different hate crime statistics, but generally they are either holding steady or sadly they're rising.
And it's hard to have to wake up every morning and fight, just, let's say, for the right to love someone, the right to hold someone's hand, the right to walk down the street and say, oh, he's cute.
Coming up, signs of change.
I came out. I sold 6 million, 10 million records.
And later, the stars who still pay the price.
It can be long and...
On TV, it's easy to figure out who's gay.
Stop, Karen, still help me God. I am 2 seconds away from not giving you a spanking.
And who isn't. But when the television is turned off, the real guessing game begins.
I get together with people that I haven't seen. People really want to know who's gay. Is there somebody you found out about? And if I say something that starts to sound like I know about somebody being gay, the room shuts up. Or the restaurant gets quiet.
What is it that threatens people so? Why does it matter to someone how someone else lives his or her life, and especially how someone else loves? I think that that's an unfathomable thing, that kind of prejudice and hatred.
Elton John was one of the first big entertainers to go public about sex. In 1976, Elton proclaimed his bisexuality. In the years since, he's gone on the record as being gay. Then, in June 1992, singer Katie Lang set a new precedent.
When Katie Lang came out on the cover of The Advocate, it defined what we say is coming out. There had not been something called a coming out interview.
Not long after Katie's announcement, rocker Melissa Etheridge came out in January 1993.
I had a sense of myself. I knew who I was and what path I was on. I was very clear that I was a homosexual.
That same year, British actor Sir Ian McKellen announced he was gay.
It took me 49 years to come out of the closet, so I've got the right to come here today and say to all lesbian and gay actors in Hollywood and on Broadway, do yourselves a favor, join us, come out of the closet now.
All three entertainers took big risks. But the backlash that some feared never materialized. In fact, for these entertainers, their popularity and their success grew. After coming out, in 1993, Katie Lang earned 5 Grammy nominations and won the honor for Best Pop Female Vocalist. Melissa Etheridge didn't exactly suffer after her announcement either.
I came out. I sold 6 million, 10 million records. It was a complete success.
And 1 year after coming out, Sir Ian McKellen was nominated for an Emmy for the AIDS drama, and the band played on. In 1999, McKellen earned an Oscar nomination for Gods and Monsters. In 2002, he picked up another Oscar nod for his role in The Lord of the Rings. And then there's Ellen.
The history of the gay civil rights movement, is particularly in modern times, can be divided into two categories: before Ellen came out and after Ellen came out. This was a landmark moment because here was a beloved television character and the actress playing her, both coming out at the same time.
The most important episode that we've done is the coming out episode, and that's something that I'll never forget, and I hope no one forgets.
The episode in which Ellen came out of the closet was by far the highest rated episode of the series during its entire run, and also creatively and critically the best received episode.
The show aired on April 30th, 1997 and was seen by 36 million viewers. The episode also won an Emmy for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series.
I accept it on the behalf of all the people, and especially the teenagers, who feel like there's something wrong with them because they're gay. And I don't want anybody to tell them that there's anything wrong with them, to make them feel ashamed of themselves.
Whether the show went south after that because the content was too gay or maybe it just wasn't funny enough is something that can be discussed.
1 year after the groundbreaking episode, Ellen's audience plummeted from its 36 million viewer perch to 12 million viewers.
It's always a danger, you know. You have something you've built that was incredibly successful for her, and you sort of throw this into the middle of it, and you know, the risk is that you lose your audience, you lose your advertisers.
Ellen suffered from coming out of the closet. Her show was canceled. She received threatening phone calls, hate letters, hate packages.
For years, musical comedy star Nathan Lane kept his private life private. Then, college student Matthew Shepard was beaten to death just for being gay. Lane was reportedly so moved by the incident that he decided to come out in 1999. While many applauded Lane's announcement, few in the gay community were shocked by the news.
I think Nathan Lane's coming out is a sort of interesting story because for many, many, many years he did not want to come out. He decided that he would do his coming out interview with The Advocate, and he did it, and we put the cover out, and pretty much the reaction was a sort of, duh, like, what's the news?
When pop star George Michael came out, it was news. In 1998, Michael was arrested for committing a lewd act in a Beverly Hills public bathroom. The singer pled no contest. The media jumped all over the story, and a few days later, Michael publicly admitted he was gay.
He was very determined not to come out. And then an incident happened that shot him out faster than he thought, and it was a really big deal.
In 2002, Rosie O'Donnell revealed that she was gay specifically to make headlines.
Rosie O'Donnell came out of the closet because she wanted to bring attention to the archaic and unfair adoption laws in the state of Florida.
Florida is the only state that prohibits homosexuals from adopting, but Rosie's political agenda had to wait. First, she had to deal with her new lesbian status.
I never thought for a moment what it would change in my own life. I always thought what it would be public perception and all the crap I would have to deal with, and the adjective assigned to your name for eternity, lesbian Rosie O'Donnell, lesbian Rosie O'Donnell. Holy shit, it's like Aries Rosie O'Donnell, you know. Size 10 shoe Rosie O'Donnell, yes. Okay.
In the spring of 2003, 69-year-old actor Richard Chamberlain released his autobiography and the news that he was gay.
I mean, Richard Chamberlain just decided to tell the world what many of us already knew, but he grew up in a different time, and, you know, that was absolutely impossible for him to do.
It took him just probably longer than maybe I would have liked, but, you know, that was his journey.
There was a time when no other magazines would talk to gay people, so people came out in The Advocate. Now it's big business. Diane Sawyer and Barbara Walters fight over people like Greg Louganis or Rosie or Ellen.
Many gays and lesbians believe that coming out is worth the trouble, but no one ever said the process is easy.
I know that Melissa and Ellen have said over and over again, we thought when we came out, when there was that whole bunch of coming outs that were going on, Chastity Bono, and then Melissa, and they all turned around and nobody else came out. They didn't come out.
Two basic reasons, which is agents and managers. So I think when the client makes that call saying, geez, I would really love to play, I don't know what, this gay part in this movie, and I'm really gay, what do you think I should do? I think they're often told, geez, I'd stay away from that because, you know, it'll come out that you're gay and you probably won't work anymore. And I don't think they really have the client's long-term best interest and, you know, health at heart.
Yes, they're all out to make a percentage and make a profit, but I don't think an agent or a manager is going to deliberately keep his client in the closet and hurt them emotionally because they're going to think it hurts their pocketbook.
Those in front of the camera are judged more severely than their peers behind the scenes. Paris Barkley is a former executive producer and director of NYPD Blue.
There's a couple years into NYPD Blue before people felt comfortable enough to actually joke about my being gay. There's a period of time where no one says anything, they're afraid to offend you, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, after a while, when people get to know you, then they start to belittle you. And then I thought, oh, I said, oh, this is great. This means they've actually accepted.
Society is more willing to contemplate that the people behind the scenes are allowed to be gay.
Writer, director, showrunner, production designer, there's really no stigma related to being a homosexual. Actors, there's a slightly different set of rules because they have to portray fictional characters who often are in romantic entanglements.
There's one category of actor that cannot come out. The good-looking, sexy, young leading man. I think if that particular actor were to say to the world, I'm gay, I think that would really damage his career.
The public uses an actor as their image of their fantasy, who they want to be. The public wants to be the leading man, the leading woman, my hero, my heroine, and they don't want that fantasy disturbed.
The closet is a horrible place to be. Those of us who are not in the public eye, who don't host talk shows, will never understand you've got the entire gay and lesbian community trying to unlock that closet door and trying to thrust you out of it.
Everybody needs you, and The Advocate wants you on their cover, and Out Magazine wants you for a fashion shoot, and it's very difficult to say to a person like that, it'll be fine. Do it. Do it for the cause.
Still, the consequences for the out actor are steep.
Total destruction of their careers.
Rupert Everett will tell you that his career suffered when he came out of the closet. He does get called for every gay role that's written. For an actor, that can be terribly frustrating.
You know, when Anne H. really revealed that she was in love with a woman, it impacted her career. And I would say that she has had some trouble.
Anne's highly publicized relationship with Ellen DeGeneres ended after 3 years. 1 year later, H married and soon had a child. There's no way to prove that Anne's affair with Ellen cost her jobs, but it didn't appear to help either. For another celebrity, coming out was a life-changing decision with potential risks.
Robert Gant on our show came out, he was on the cover of The Advocate. This was very important for him, the part of his own personal journey. And he is an amazingly gorgeous-looking man, leading man. I think
But
that very
most
much
actors won't do what he did. He's an exception to the rule. It's a trade-off. It is, between being truthful and living in peace with yourself and wanting that job. That's the constant conflict.
In a moment, setting the record straight.
Obviously, he was a gay person, and it was just the way it was.
In Hollywood, things aren't always as they appear. Rumors about homosexuality are nothing new to celebrities, but even straight actors find themselves defending their sexual orientation.
In Star Magazine, apparently, they had a photograph of my friend Annie Cusack and I kind of holding each other, and now we're gay. The only problem with that is I would date her in a split second if I weren't lesbian, and she was one too, but we're not.
In Hollywood, such accusations are frequently followed by lawsuits.
Like, well, sue them, it's inaccurate. I'm like, yeah, but I would have to say that I was somehow offended by it, or that it damaged me in some way, which it didn't, so it's no big deal.
But for some celebrities, it is a big deal. Coming out is not an option they can live with.
We don't know how a real romantic star in the 50s and 60s and 70s did it. How did they live two lives?
It was a lot more painful to actually come out or to be exposed than it is now. So it's really an impossibility for actors like Rock Hudson or Montgomery Clift or even James Dean.
In the gay community, a beard is an opposite-sex companion of an in-the-closet lesbian or gay man. So in public, he or she appears straight.
When were they in love with a woman but appearing at a premiere with somebody else? That was going on, and it's still going on. I think that the beard situation is alive and well.
As we've heard, openly gay actors are often discriminated against when it comes to casting for the leading man roles.
Rupert Everett knows that he has not been offered roles because the studios don't want to take a chance on putting an openly gay man on the movie screen opposite a female star.
Straight actors portraying gay characters has become par for the course. In 2001, Eric McCormack won an Emmy for playing Will in Will and Grace, a show that turned the gay best friend relationship into must-see TV.
The acceptance part has been pivotal. If this community had from the beginning sort of been suspicious of me in this role or not accepting, the show would never have got off the ground in the same way. Even as we were shooting the pilot, Glad sent a telegram saying on behalf of the organization, good luck, we're behind you.
In 2003, Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green were cast as homosexuals in the indie film Party Monster.
Obviously, he was a gay person, and it was just the way it was, and it wasn't like, I'm not going to do it because of this or not going to do it because of that.
I don't really see it as having any kind of negative connotation, but I don't really consider the genre or the sexual orientation of a character. I try and bring the most honesty to the characters that I play.
Actors who could walk were playing disabled characters, and I think it's just a matter of, finding the right actor for the job.
But there remains a double standard when it comes to gay actors playing gay characters.
Somehow they feel that because you're gay, you're not acting. So Rupert Everett can do My Best Friend's Wedding and be overlooked by the Oscars, and Greg Kinnear can do a gay character and As Good as It Gets and get an Oscar nomination. Because I think even actors believe that gay actors aren't acting when they play gay.
Playwright and actor Harvey Fierstein played many gay characters in film, but they were usually supporting roles or for comic relief.
It would be nice if finally the really good gay roles finally went to gay actors instead of to heterosexual ones.
Enter the network sitcom It's All Relative.
The first time I believe that two gay actors are actually going to play gay people. It's just hysterical that, here we are, 2003. There's actually going to be real, live gay people playing gay people.
When High Price of Fame continues.
It's obviously not just easy. It's not, you can't just go to bed and have a child.
The gay guessing game.
I realized that it was the only thing that anybody wanted to know was who was the father.
We don't have all of the rights that straight people have.
Openly gay celebrities are doing more these days than just working in Hollywood. They're trying to get married and start families. In most of the U.S., this is a daunting task.
You're not accorded the same legal status as a same-sex couple that you would if you were a heterosexual couple. I think a lot of people take that to mean that, like, getting married to someone of the same sex is illegal. It's not at all. It's just not legally recognized in most places.
Vermont and California are the only states that recognize same-sex unions.
All we want are basic human rights, the same rights that straight people have when they're married.
In September 2002, the New York Times began printing same-sex wedding photos and announcements. Magazine editor Mark Harris and his partner playwright Tony Kushner were one of the first featured photos.
It was something that the gay community had been lobbying for a very long time, and the Times' decision to make that change was enormously important and commendable. The Times was not the first newspaper to do it, but of course, because it's the New York Times, it's very, very important.
After the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the Texas anti-sodomy law in 2003, Newsweek magazine released a special dual cover issue. One featured a gay male couple embracing, and the other showed a lesbian couple.
The impact of those dual covers, when I saw that they thought it was hot enough that they had to have two covers for it, I thought, somebody knows how important and exciting this is.
Well, I bought them both. I just felt like, I didn't want this to go down in history as being one of Newsweek's, lowest selling covers, so.
Brides magazine, in their September-October issue, has their very first feature ever on same-sex marriages.
And something like newspapers starting to publish gay wedding announcements, it may seem trivial in a way, but really, the fact that for so many years those announcements weren't published was just another way for society to say, you're not good enough, you're not the same.
In 2002, Rosie O'Donnell and her longtime partner Kelly Carpenter showed their solidarity when Kelly took O'Donnell as her last name. For gay couples in North America, getting married wasn't a legal option until June 2003.
Canada is just beginning to legalize gay marriages, finally.
And I think that everyone's going to see that Canada does not suddenly fall apart as a country because of this.
As if getting married isn't hard enough, gays and lesbians who want to start a family face an array of challenges. First off, there are technical problems.
It's obviously not just easy. It's not, you can't just go to bed and have a child. In the same way that most couples can just, whoops, we're pregnant.
Then a gay couple has to decide how to have the baby. The most popular options are surrogacy or adoption.
Rosie O'Donnell and actor B.D. Wong are very much in the public eye, creating loving homes for their children. Rosie through adoption. B.D. Wong hired a surrogate to have a child with his partner. For two gay men or two lesbians to have a child, we'll go through the endless paperwork and the endless interview process to adopt a child. We'll go to a great expense to hire a surrogate just so we can be a parent.
And celebrity gay parents must fight for privacy. Melissa Etheridge experienced that firsthand around the release of her 1999 album Breakdown. That's when Melissa and then partner Julie Cypher quietly began their family with the help of a famous male friend.
I did my press and went around and sat with Leno and sat with Letterman. I realized that it was the only thing that anybody wanted to know was who was the father. It was crazy there for a couple of weeks. Any man who was seen with or knew us at all was suspect. My band members, Tom Hanks, Bruce Springsteen, Brad Pitt, we really didn't think it would have the reaction that it did. I guess looking back, yeah, David Crosby and Melissa Etheridge, I guess that's a big thing.
The perception of gay people having children has changed over the years. I think that people are starting to see families like Rosie and Kelly O'Donnell and their 4 children and realize that this is a partnership and a family. Having to take children to the bus and get them to school and, you know, drop what they're doing and pick them up, and, you know, it's the same stuff.
Up next, move over, Queer as Folk and Will and Grace. The lesbians are coming to town.
If some of the girls on Sex and the City slept with each other, that would really be, to a certain extent, what the L Word is about.
On the net.
This is a really great time for gay people on a whole.
In early January 2002, media conglomerate Viacom announced plans to launch a gay cable network called Outlet.
When networks advertisers hear that there's a group of people out there who don't have their own network, and I mean animals have their own network, everybody's got their own network somewhere on cable, there's 2,000 channels. Gay people don't have their own network.
But in the spring of 2003, Outlet hit a dead end.
Outlet did not launch for economic reasons. And frankly, if the numbers don't add up, then we don't want it to launch because we don't want it to fail. If they were to force it, and then the next entity that thought about launching a gay cable network would say, well, it didn't work for Viacom, so let's not even try. And if that means waiting a couple of years, let's wait a couple of years.
Meanwhile, network television continued to take risks. On April 22, 2003, the long-running soap opera All My Children became the first daytime television program to feature a kiss between lesbian characters.
I guess I didn't really fully realize how groundbreaking it was. It was a big deal for daytime, and it was a big deal, I guess, for the gay community. This hadn't been done on daytime, although it had been done on primetime. It was sort of the last taboo.
Gay characters are also thriving in primetime comedies. A sitcom called It's All Relative introduced a newly engaged couple and their modern, diverse in-laws.
I play part of a gay couple, committed long-term relationship, and our daughter falls in love with a kid whose family owns a bar in the south of Boston and don't mix very well with the gay set. It is really sort of like Frasier and Niles meet the Bunkers.
Do I look like I know how to make a lemon drop?
Another series ready to push the limits in January 2004 is the cable television drama, The L Word.
Our show is created by a woman who's lesbian and has a family with her partner.
I thought, I live kind of an interesting life, and I look around and I see my friends and acquaintances, and our stories haven't really been told.
It's much more about a group of characters, predominantly female, and predominantly lesbian, but that is, I think, the secondary issue. It's about them living their lives and their careers and their dreams and their relationships.
And I think it will break a lot of stereotypes, because I think it will also show that the lesbian characters, they come in all shapes and sizes, just like straight characters.
The stereotype would be, oh, let's watch, women having sex with one another. What is that like? And those people who tuned in for that reason may be titillated, and then all of a sudden they will come away with a realization that this community, as certainly as it's represented by the show, is not perhaps what they thought it was.
I really hope that whoever finds me interesting and wants to come and see it, watch the show, they will say, well, I didn't understand it, I watched it for Pam, and now I have a new understanding. That will help me and my family.
I have the power of the storyteller, and that I'm in a position now to tell my stories feels very powerful.
I think Hollywood has enormous power, as trivial as it may sound, that just the fact that you can turn on your TV at night and maybe see a gay character depicted with intelligence and accuracy is a big step. TV, for better or worse, does tell a lot of people how to think about society.
And as Hollywood evolves, so does the public perception of political correctness. But there is still a long way to go.
In some ways, we've come quite far, and in some ways, we're sort of shockingly in the same place. Definitely, I mean, there's still very few out gay actors.
The inclusiveness of the gay and lesbian community in all genres, be it sitcoms or dramas or reality show, is here to stay. As long as the gay and lesbian community is here and queer and demanding to be seen and represented in all forms of media.
My sister is gay. She watches the show every day with her friends, and they love it. I used to talk to her and say, am I doing it right? Am I playing a gay character correctly? And she's like, no, I think you need to listen to more Katie Lang. She's like, of course you are.
Everybody would tell me it would change my life, but what I didn't realize, it would change everything about my life. And for the first time, I'm really, really, really happy.